So today let's talk about the concept of share capitals for a company. You'll be hearing about share capital. A lot of people do not know what share capital is or understand that concept. So that is what this video is all about. I'm going to talk about it, explain it in a way that you will understand. Now let me show you something. You can see this. This is Ludo, right? You know this. Who doesn't know Ludo? You know Ludo. Now you can see this Ludo is a whole, right? We call it a whole. It is complete. And let's see this Ludo, this whole as 100%. Now you see this Ludo is also divided into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Now each of these 4 parts is what? Quarter of this whole. And this quarter can be called 25%. Now, let's say you can decide to play this Ludo with 4 people, right? And each of you will take each of the houses, that's each of these parts. It means that each of you are taking what? Each of you, you're taking a quarter of this whole, which is 25%. So each of you have 25% of the whole house. Now, if you can also decide to play this Ludo with 2 people, just between you and another person, right? Meaning that you can take 2 houses and the other person takes 2 houses. It means that each of you are taking what? 50%. That's half, which is 50% of the whole. Now, liken this to share capital. If you are forming your company with 4 persons and each of you need to have a share, you can decide if you want that each of you will have equal equity, that's equal shares. That means each of you are having 25%. Okay? Each of you are having 25% of the 100%. Or you're forming a company with 2 persons and each of you have equal equity, that's equal shares. Each of you are having 50%. 50-50, that's 100. That is what share is, okay? But you can also decide shares mustn't be shared equally. It mustn't be shared equally between you and the people that you are forming the company with. You can, depending on your agreement with those shareholders, you can have the higher percentage. You can decide to have 75%, 1, 2, 3, 75%, while the other person has just 25%. You can decide to play this Ludo alone, you know, right? Meaning you're making your company with just you are the only shareholder and you're having it with 100%. You can have your shares, divide your shares into different each shareholder can have different equity, that's different shares, depending on the agreement you have with your shareholders. I just use this Ludo for you to understand what it means. 100% to 5, depending on what you want. Okay? So you can have someone that comes, you want to make a company, and then you're deciding to have 90%. And the other shareholder is having 10%. You can decide to have 95%. The other shareholder having 5%, depending on your agreement. That's what share is about. Share talks about the value of that company. If it is a 1 million share company, that means the value of that company in equity is 1 million shares. If it's a 100 million share company, the value of that company in equity is 100 million shares. Whether it is 100 million shares, 1 billion shares, or 1 million shares, it is still 100%. So when you now break down these shares among the shareholders, that is when it begins to break down. Meaning this person has his percentage shares of this company, this person has his percentage shares of this company. You need to understand that shares shows your ownership in that company. So if you're giving somebody, let's say, that's why I always preach that do not just hand out shares of your company anyhow. Make sure that the person you're making a shareholder has something the person is contributing to that company. If you're giving the person 25% shares, it means the person has 25% stake, 25% ownership of your company. So don't just put someone's name there. You just want to fill up names when the person is not contributing anything. Know that share ownership shows ownership of the company. So be wise and make sure that when you're issuing shares, you have an agreement down with your people. How long can if the person wants an out, what would the person do with the shares? Just know that. Make sure that everything is made clear and you have written out signed agreements. That is it about shares. Your go-to person when it comes to company structures in Nigeria, even US and UK LLC, that's company formation. If you have any questions, you can send me a DM and I'll attend to you. If you want to register your business, register your company, I'm your go-to person. Send me that DM and let's get into it. Okay?